Welcome to Questions and Responses for Allergies Part 1. Question 1 from Lisa Krause. How can I treat my allergies naturally? My allergies get so bad that they turn into sinus infections. I've already had two go on 2 rounds of different antibiotics, and they still are not helping. Yeah. Not only do antibiotics, they're for really bacterial infections, but they should not be prescribed willy-nilly. The majority of antibiotic prescriptions, and we're talking over half of them, are generally inappropriate. But then the antibiotics that you're getting from diet, food, everything, it's destroying your ecosystem or gut or flora. Remember, 90% of your immune system response. And what an allergy is an abnormal recognition of a foreign protein. So you need a gut integrity. If you take an antibiotic, it destroys both beneficial and harmful bacteria in your intestinal tract. To solve an infection up here, okay, so now this allows, that ecosystem allows yeast, which have these hyphae, which bore holes in the intestinal tract. So virtually anything that damages the intestinal tract is going to allow proteins that aren't tempered by digestion to get into the bloodstream. There's certain medical procedures that we can't even talk about that are injecting foreign proteins in the system as well. So know that this is an immune system response. So look at the health of the tissue. And again, 90% of your immune system is located in the gut. So we've got to build the gut flora. Now, look at things that can trigger the allergies. Plus, when you're looking at sinus infections, we know that those sinuses can actually be impacted. So there could be a cervical component or a neck problem leading to it. This is, you can have impacted sinuses. And this is why we check skulls, we check facial bones. We're moving the occiput, which articulates with the sphenoid, and all of these things to alleviate pressure, the structural pressure on that. So the skull would be a factor. Then cervical spine would be a contributing factor too, leading to a hypersensitization of the nervous system, and then leaky gut. So look at the core problem. It's not, and the doctors, if they're prescribing an antibiotic without doing a culture, without doing a sensitivity test, then they're inappropriate. So look at an elimination diet that would help. Look at getting prebiotics, probiotics, and bacteria-containing foods in the intestinal tract. Look at addressing the physical stress, because there may be a cervical component, there may be impacted structural areas in the skull, so find somebody that can adjust the facial bones, skull bones, cervical spine, and then look at the 5 keys. Look at the nervous system, okay, because that controls your autonomic, your regenerative, or your stress state. Look at sleep patterns and make sure your diet is nothing but organic, free-range, healthy foods. And this is going to help build up that gut flora. Then look at the sleep patterns, because that's when the body regenerates. Look at prayer and meditation. And surprisingly, look at exercises. Now, for just addressing this, because that's where we're addressing the cause first. The secondary thing that you can do for sinus, look at a nebulizer. Okay, colloidal gold, colloidal silver. You can breathe this in, and this is fantastic. But also, look at just steam. And this is what I still do with people in my family. If they have a sinus infection, I'll put whole oregano leaves in a pot, steep the pot, get it off of the stove, and put a towel over the pot, just like they used to do in the old 1930s movies. You breathe that in and then breathe it out. Phenomenal antimicrobial approach. And you could put eucalyptus oil or eucalyptus leaves. I like oregano leaves. You could put garlic, all these antimicrobial, antifungal herbs. And this will make a huge difference. But this way you're addressing the cause. Question 2 from James Child 1321. What else can I do for an environmental allergy specifically? I cannot move. I no longer use allopathic drugs. God bless you. My diet is diverse and not from a bag or box. I take supplements to replace some of the prescription drugs. I use local raw honey from a nearby farm and quercetin for allergies, but they aren't effective against the indoor environment I live in. Fantastic. Oh my gosh. You've made huge strides. Now, doing some detective work to replace some of the prescription drugs, which is what you said, figure most prescription drugs They're made for stress responses. And luckily, we only have 3 stressors. So that's why you address the underlying causes. And you're doing a great job with the diet changes, everything else. But let's take it up a step more. Physical, chemical, emotional stress. So you have a system that's designed to regenerate. And this is your automatic nervous system. You can be in a stress mode or sympathetic dominant, or you could be in regenerative mode or parasympathetic. Now, the parasympathetic nervous system is literally located in the cervical spine and the pelvis. So that's why they call it cranial sacral. The sympathetic is located in the thoracic area and the lumbar. So let's get a thorough structural analysis of this by a doctor, chiropractor, that's going to be taking a look at the structure, does a series of adjustments, and then takes another x-ray to document that they've identified and corrected the problem. I mean, we're talking like basic common sense. Chemical stressors, that's going to be poor sleep. So look at our sleep restriction videos so that you can reset your circadian rhythm. And it sounds like you're doing a great job with everything else. Also, look at how many bowel movements a day you got, because if you are in a stress state, you're talking 1 bowel movement a day. 2 to 3 healthy bowel movements a day is more appropriate for a human being. So chemical stressors, you're looking at diet and poor sleep. Then emotional stressors. This means daily working at it. Now, neurolinguistic programming, I do that daily. Exercise is going to be moving the lymph flow. Meditation is fantastic. Prayer is fantastic. And again, what do those things do? They all put you in that parasympathetic or regenerative state. So if you can be in multiple states of regeneration throughout the day, then your body can heal faster. That's the key. Physical, chemical, emotional stress. And let me know how you're doing, brother. Question 3 from Olive Skin 2023. I have mold, dust mites. I even had an anaphylactic shock 8 years ago and always suffered from sinus infections and candida. Are these related? Yes, they are. Mainstream medicine doesn't seem to have understood the root cause. Okay, so when you're looking at anaphylactic reaction, that means that your body has proteins that aren't tempered by digestion getting in the bloodstream. And that's literally an anaphylactic reaction. So they could be injected, they could be eaten, and there could be a leaky gut. But now, knowing that you've always suffered from sinus infections, what do they usually give for sinus infections? Antibiotics, without a culture, without anything else. And what does this do? This kills bacteria and then allows candida to overgrow, because candida is literally food for bacteria. So all of this stuff it means that you have an unhealthy gut flora. So let's go back to the basics: physical, chemical, emotional stress. Building that gut flora is going to be huge, but look at all medications, packaged foods, processed foods, the toxic oils like canola, corn, soy, hydrogenated vegetable oils, trans fats. All of these things damage the gut flora. Pasteurized milk products, processed foods. So your diet, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Your diet's going to be exactly like your great-great-grandmother. Whole food, seasonal, organic, and if it's preserved, it's fermented or dried. So that's fantastic. Don't worry about the mold, dust mites, okay? Because if you have healthy bacteria, it's not going to make a difference. Like, you have some people that can have a job to rip out black mold and they don't have an issue. Other people walk by a trash can with black mold and they get an issue. So it's not really the black mold. It has to do with your body's response to it. So that means we're going to seal up the leaky gut and then look at the sinuses. Because if this is a hypersensitization, could be a leaky gut, could be a contributing factor, but also look at the structural. So when we talk about physical, chemical, emotional, that cervical spine innervates the sinuses. If you have a chronic state of stress, and this one is, if you have a cervical spine, remember, your nervous system is in 2 parts. You could be in a stress state or regenerative state. The regenerative is called the parasympathetic nervous system. That's located in the neck. So addressing the physical stressors of the neck is hugely important. And there may be a pelvis issue. Like if you're looking at your foot and your big toes leaning towards the other one, those nerves that supply the foot come out of the top of the pelvis. And that pelvis houses half of that parasympathetic or regenerative system. So this is going to be huge. So if you have chronic sinusitis, and I'm saying, look at the cervical and the pelvis, then that is going to start to clue into part of the contributing factors that could be a physical stressor. Chemical stressor. Obviously, the sinuses, if they're chronic, they could be impacted, they could be strained. And so find somebody that has the skill set to adjust the cranials and the facial bones. Man, I get fantastic results. But this is why I check facial and cranial bones on everybody, because there could be an underlying impacted sinus. Now, what's interesting is the occipital bone articulates with the sphenoid. And the sphenoid bone is literally involved in a lot of the chronic sinus issues. You can also directly affect the sinuses because, this forest is on fire. We want immediate results. Getting a nebulizer, using colloidal gold, colloidal silver, that's helpful. Putting heat in there. So putting a little bit of oregano or eucalyptus leaves or oil in a pot of water, have that steam so you can breathe in the steam, then breathe out, breathe in. Fantastically good for you. But look at healing the gut, addressing the physical, chemical stressors are going to be the diet, nutrition, and look at poor sleep patterns. That could be a contributing factor. And then look at the emotional stressors, because knowing that you have a mold sensitivity, this is where neurotransmitters, we call it the gut brain or the enteric brain. So this is going to be anxiety, mood fluctuations, impulse control, and all of that's got to be addressed. So address the underlying physical, chemical, and emotional stressors, and you will get better. And you are right. Mainstream is completely ignorant about this. Question 4 from Plur48484. I have over a 7-page list of things I'm allergic to. Oh, man. Yes, I know what you're going through. From plants to foods. I'm in a state right now that I can't eat anything without getting some kind of reaction. I don't know what to do or where to turn. I don't want to take antihistamines forever or a Singulair. Absolutely. That causes brain damage, mood fluctuations, everything. What can I do to change my life for the better? I try not to stress, but I feel like I'm in a constant state of fear and stress. Thank you for making this video on this. Oh, God bless you. Let's get you healthy. You are in stress. Now, histamines are actually part of the process to regenerate tissue. And so since you've been taking antihistamines and Singulair, it means your immune system is suppressed. Now, I get patients, honest to goodness, they've done all the elimination diet. They've gone through the whole medical system. They had, multiple courses of antihistamines and antibiotics. And they're eating rice and water. That's about it. And so within 30 days, we get them back to eating normal food. How do we do that? Well, number one, you're going to have a leaky gut, and this will be seen on x-ray. It'll look, normally you can see normal intestinal gas, bowel gas. And when somebody has a leaky gut, it looks like they were shot in the stomach with a shotgun. So we know that you have an autonomic nervous system and that the regenerative part is located in the neck and the pelvis area. So when you look at your system, and we got to look at the entire structure, that means take an x-ray, the cervical, thoracic, lumbar, and pelvis area. So we can identify if there's a structural contributing factor. Knowing that, because physical, chemical, emotional stressors, those are the only 3 things we got to fix on you. The physical stressors are going to be identified there. Find somebody that's going to take an x-ray and then do a series of adjustments and then take another x-ray to show they fixed the problem. Bam, basic common sense. Then the chemical stressors. When we can start to heal the gut, we want to slowly reintroduce the foods. And it only takes around 4 to 6 weeks to start that gut healing. So let's get your body working correctly. Berries, nuts. These are, and we're talking blueberries, boysenberries, all the dark colored berries are powerful in antioxidants. Now, if you're allergic to it or allergic to any food, you may want to take a berry and just brush the back of a spoon with it and slowly reintroduce it. I don't recommend you doing that now. Identify the physical stressors. Then the chemical stressors is going to be the sensitivity to foods, but also poor sleep patterns. So look at our sleep restriction videos, because that's when the body regenerates. Look at our pelvic health video, because I'm almost guaranteeing that you're going to have a pelvic issue. And you got to identify part of that by looking at your foot if your big toe's leaning towards your other toes. And then look at the emotional stressors. So practice neurolinguistic programming, emotional freedom technique, eye movement desensitization response, and practice prayer and meditation daily where you're visualizing joy. And this will also help those emotional components as well. And then to reintroduce it, once you're addressing the underlying cause, then if you're allergic to berries, beautiful. Just brush the back of the spoon and just lick it. Do that every day for a week. Then take the tiniest little bit of whatever you were allergic to, tiny, and just slowly reintroduce it every day for about a week. And then a little bit increased every day for about a week. So you're slowly desensitizing the system, because an allergy is an abnormal recognition of a foreign protein. And while you desensitize the system, and it only takes 4 to 6 weeks to do this stuff, okay, you're going to be able to reintroduce everything. And believe me, it's such a joy to see these people in a couple of months to where they're eating normal, healthy food. They're never going to go eat McDonald's or Kentucky Fried Chicken or, processed packaged foods, because that's just not good for you. But they are going to have healthy animal proteins, healthy foods, healthy vegetables, healthy grains even. Yep. And let me know how you're doing. Question 5 from Nadia Zoe. Dr. Bergman, thank you for this. I have indoor and outdoor allergies. I had a cold a month ago, and still today I've been coughing. I've been getting cough attacks that start with a tickle in my throat that lasts for 5 minutes. I cough so much until I gag and sometimes vomit. I've tried home remedies, but nothing works. I had a thyroidectomy over 15 years ago, and due to my biopsy, came back as suspicious for cancer, which is whatever that means. Honestly, what they're looking at is just abnormal shaped cells. It means nothing. It means that you've probably been exposed to fluoride, chlorine, and bromine, which are halides, and you're probably deficient in iodine, and you're in a chronic state of stress. So then I did make an appointment to see my primary care physician because of concern. Please, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on how I can stop this annoying and frustrating situation. Fantastic. Okay, let's get your body working correctly. First, we know that there's going to be a gut issue because you're getting an allergy is an abnormal recognition of a foreign protein. So look at things that damage the gut, and this is going to be virtually all medications, toxic and packaged foods. Then we have to look at the stress state. So physical stress, identify it, find somebody to take a stress x-ray, static x-rays of the entire structure. And I mean, pelvis to the cervical spine, everything in between, and then have them correct that problem. While they're correcting that problem, let's correct the sleep patterns. Make sure you're sleeping through the night, not getting up to pee. So look at our sleep restriction therapies. Then look at the diet is just going to be like your great-grandparents. So whole food, organic, seasonal, fantastic. A cool herb, okay, is pleurisy root, Pleursy. Pleurisy root, it's an extract. You put it in warm water and you drink it down 10 to 15 drops. It quiets a non-productive cough and makes a productive cough more productive. Fantastic. That's one thing. Breathing in steam, particularly when you have oregano oil or eucalyptus oil, that helps. A nebulizer with colloidal gold or colloidal silver, that helps. Direct sunlight will help. Moist heat on the chest, rushing blood to the area, will really help. Moist heat on the tummy, which will rush blood to that. Because just think of this, we have an automatic nervous system. One part keeps you alive under stress, sympathetic. The other part regenerates tissue. When you're in a chronic state of stress and knowing that the thyroid's been damaged, okay, it's not there, okay, that means that the adrenal glands are working harder. So putting moist heat on that tummy area is going to forcibly rush blood to that area and help. There's an action called viscerosomatic. Anything you do to the organs can affect the body. And the gut is under parasympathetic control. So rushing blood to that will help balance out some of the negative effects that having the thyroid removed. And then look at the emotional components. And this is going to be prayer and meditation, daily visualization. And I like neurolinguistic programming, but there's a lot of different things that you do to master your emotional stressors. And then you will absolutely recover. But that moist heat direct, the pleurisy root will help. Breathing in the healthy steam with maybe oregano oil or eucalyptus oil is fantastic. Juices, hot liquids are going to be fantastic because you figure the carina, where the breathing tube, the trachea comes down and splits, that area is super sensitive, and a lot of the phlegm can get clogged in there. And so drinking warm beverages or hot beverages can actually loosen up some of that phlegm and help you get rid of it. Just fantastic. And let me know how you're doing. Now, if your question wasn't answered here, please visit the Dr. B VIP site, and then that's where I have to respond to certain questions that may have a sensitive nature. If your question was answered at this, God bless you, and let me know how you're doing. If your question wasn't answered, look at our next video on allergies. God bless you all. Stay healthy, my friends.